This is the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, and you are listening to Potsy and Tino on the Potsy and Tino Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the Pots and Pans Network proudly brings to you its tag team champions of the world, the Potsy and Tino Show. I am Rob Potsy Pochek. He is Tino Gray.
That's me.
We are the Potsy and Tino Show. Our theme song, as always, is brought to you by Adam's House Cats, called The Wrestling Song. It's available on iTunes for 99 cents. And you just heard AEW's Executive Vice President, Cody Rhodes. So, Tino, got some big stuff going on at the house this week, huh?
I got a whole bunch of big stuff going on at the house this week. I was talking off air to you, and you were like, yesterday you'd called me, text me, said, "Hey, you wanna record or not?" I'm like, "Yeah, rebuilding the deck." So let me tell you folks about the start of my weekend. Friday, I worked all day at the day job, drove to Hickory, North Carolina to do a show. Got done with that show probably about 2 a.m. Got back, got into bed. By the time I looked at the clock, the last time it was 3:30, 4 o'clock. Fell asleep. Had to be back on the road at 6 a.m. to be back here to meet some friends of mine. Because we're rebuilding the deck on the back of my house. So we start doing that around 8. We start doing that around 9. I think you text me around, what was it, 6 or so, something like that.
Yeah, 6-ish.
I'm like, we were still in the middle of doing it. So then we finally, around 8, we stopped because the rain came and the thunder and lightning came.
Shortly after I said it's not raining out there.
Yeah, it hadn't rained all day. It was supposed to storm all day, so it held off for us, thank gosh. But yeah, it started storming. My friends left. My wife went to go get her father from the airport because he's coming back in town from working out of town. I get in the shower about 8:30. Get out the shower, get into bed, and that is all I remember till around noon today when I woke up. And so, like I said, my father-in-law, he's a traveling nurse, so he came back in town. Nicole's grandmother came in on Thursday. My mom's coming in this coming Tuesday. Nicole's aunt's coming in this Tuesday because my daughter's graduating high school on Wednesday, so all the family members are starting to come into town. So Wednesday we have the graduation. We have like just a close family. Everybody going to graduation will be here, and we'll have lunch. And then Saturday's the big party where we have, friends, family, everybody who couldn't make the graduation is coming, and we're just going to be outside and I think Nicole's doing a taco bar and all this other stuff. But I still, in the middle of all this, yeah, you should come if you're here. We try to get you to come. But in the middle of all this storm, I got to still figure out, I got to put the last finishing touches on the deck. I can get the yard cleaned up, take all the old decking to the dump, get my grass cut, get everything looking good. But it's supposed to rain this week, so I gotta get all that stuff looking good by next Saturdays. And I have a show Friday night. This Friday night is, I don't know what that date is. This Friday is going to be June the 14th. I'll be in Clayton at First Street Tavern from 8 to 10. So that's what my week's looking like already. And I'm already tired.
Dude, I don't even think it's just we're tired. I think we're old.
We're old. Yeah, that's what we're talking about off air too. It's not only just physical tired, sometimes just mental tired. All the stuff I know is coming and I have to do, and you see it coming. You're just like, oh, on top of that, I lost 10 pounds. This is what I think you should do.
What should I do?
Oh, you should, or not. I started, I don't know if I even told you, I started intermittent fasting.
Yes.
So this works for me. So pretty much I don't eat all that. So pretty much I'm doing the one where you have the 8-hour window to eat. So I'm not a big breakfast person anyway. So my first meal isn't till 1. I can't eat anything till 1. And then from 1 to 9, that's my 8-hour window. I can eat whatever. I can eat whatever I want. But at 9 o'clock, it's done. And then I can't eat again till 1 o'clock the next day. So, but I drink all the water I want. Just stay away from, the point is some people are doing the intermittent fasting along with the keto diet or low carb diet. It is depending on what you're doing. So I found that the first day or two, I was like, to hell with this, I'm hungry. But you give your body a chance to get used to it. And now before 1 o'clock, I'm not even hungry. And I found even when I eat lunch at 1 and drinking all that water all day, come dinner time, I'm still really not. Maybe I need to eat something, just to. I'm finding I'm not hungry.
Sure. Actually, when I started the lower carb diet, my buddy Carlos actually told me that intermittent fasting is basically what he did, and it's funny because I kind of feel like that's something I do anyway.
Yeah,
but
just more cognizant of it.
Yeah, but every so often I get the urge to go grab breakfast or something before I start working because I know I'm not going to get to eat anything until at least 2 o'clock. So I just go, screw it, I'll do that. And that's where the intermittent fasting thing doesn't work for me. But if it's working for you, man, it's one of those things where it's like I keep trying to tell everybody that not every diet works for everyone. I mean, you lost like 15 pounds on the same thing that I was doing.
Yeah,
I lost 20 pounds at this point. I think I had lost 30, and I think 10 of it came back. But
I found it.
Yeah.
It was lost and you found it.
Yeah, I basically just put it back on, and I was like, "Oh, here we go." But it's literally one of those things where it's probably a combination of every major diet would be the best diet to actually have, or the best lifestyle change, if you will. But the intermittent fasting thing is something that can apparently work for a lot of people. So good on you for
And this is cool.
Make sure you stick to it.
Yeah, and then it's always good when people look at it and say, "Hey, you're losing weight." I'm like, it must be if you can see it now. You know what I mean? And clothes are fitting looser. So
yeah, no,
I'm looking in the mirror. I still see me. I don't see. You don't see it when it's you. And I guess is what I never do when it's me losing. Whenever I'm losing weight, people always say, "You losing weight?" I'm like, "Yeah, you think so?" But like I said, your clothes are looser. You can feel it in your clothes, but you still look the same. I don't know if it's a mental thing or what it is.
Well, it's a little bit of everything, like the main thing is, and I even told you this when you first wanted to start losing weight, it's don't just look in the mirror because you're going to see what you want, what you've always seen in the mirror. But if you take a picture of yourself in the mirror, you're getting two reflections of it. So you're actually seeing what really is there. And there's no twist to it. You can angle it differently so you don't get this or whatever. But the fact is that if you want to sit there and suck it in, you can suck it in as far as you can. It's not going to go very far at the beginning, but as you lose 15, 20 pounds, whatever, 10 pounds in your case right here, when you suck it in, you see a little bit of a difference when you look at those two pictures next to each other. And that's the trick to it. Like I started, like, when I was doing it, I was taking a picture of myself, and then I was texting that picture to myself, so that way it was the last text message I sent to me, so that the next time I took a picture and I sent it to myself, I could just flip through them real quick and actually see the difference between them. So if it works, it works, and that's what you. But you'll see, and like with everything, you got to stick to it.
Yeah.
It's the joke of a lifestyle change versus a diet is that diets just don't work because you stop them at some point. A lifestyle change, actually saying, okay, well, now instead of eating pasta ever again, I'm going to eat zucchini, is something where, like, I went out and I bought 2 zucchinis, 79 cents for 2 zucchinis. It's actually about the same price that you pay for an entire thing of spaghetti. So,
you have one of those zucchini. We have one of those too. You can make the noodle,
the spiraler. So I have one of those now too. So yeah, absolutely. So I mean, good on you. Like I said, man, like we got to take better care of ourselves, because otherwise we're not gonna live to see ourselves be a big time success in something, right? So
we're gonna be on WWE Network doing this show.
So this week I'm and you said I should come out for the taco stuff and everything, but unfortunately, fortunately for me and unfortunately, I'll be at Heroes Con in Charlotte this weekend, so I won't be able to be there because they gave us guest status at the show, so we've got tables and everything, and so I was off Friday because I had jury duty last week, and I had I had a meeting that I had to prepare an hour-long presentation for, and Then I got yelled at by my boss for an hour. I won't go into it, but I got yelled at by my boss for an hour for, just same stuff I always do, just running my mouth and stuff like that, I'm not supposed to. And so Friday I was off, and I decided out of the blue I was going to upgrade my convention gear, not my clothes or anything, but what I actually bring to the show to actually move my stuff in and, set up and do all that. So the boxes that I kept all the comics in, I just kept bringing like cardboard boxes, like they'd come in a cardboard box, and I'd bring one box with like a set of all the different comics or whatever. And so I finally just went, I got to find something plastic, because if it rains or anything like that, I want something that's going to keep the books in decent condition, blah blah blah. And I hate carrying everything. Like Tino, I don't know if you've ever carried a comic book box before, but even the short ones that are only like this big, they hold about 175 comics in them, right?
That's still heavy as hell.
But then when you put them in the plastic bag and you put the piece of cardboard in behind them to sit there and keep them all upright, and so they're all in good shape and everything, it ends up weighing like 45 pounds a box, and I mean it's kind of obtrusive trying to carry it around. You barely have enough room for like half your fingers to actually be under the little handle and everything to carry it. So I was like, screw it, I'm going to go buy some plastic boxes that are made for toting that stuff around and see if I can get some stackable ones or whatever. And then I was like, the other thing I ought to check for is like some sort of storage container or a hand truck so that I can bring all that. So I ended up buying a portable collapsible hand truck, and I bought 3 plastic comic book boxes to carry around the books in. So now, bungeed up to it and everything, I should be able to just prop the thing down and just wheel it on into the shows, and maybe have a book bag with me with some tablecloths or other things. But and then I bought these little plastic things about 24 inches long with 3 rows in them, so that I can actually put 3 by 3 on the books. So instead of just having like the books just sitting there with one book up so that people could see it now is actually going to hold 3 by 3, and I can do that on a 6-foot table. I could actually put 3 of those up, but to actually be able to sit there and talk to people, I'm going to put 1 on each side, and then have all the books distributed that way.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, so that ran me a little bit more than I wanted, but it'll be an expense that hopefully this convention pays for, and then we see about everything else from there.
Takes money to make money, man.
Well, unfortunately it does, but it's hopefully a one-time expense. Now the little risers that hold the 3 by 3 in the books are plexiglass, so hopefully they don't break. But yeah, so I mean, I've got some ideas of how I actually want to set up the tables and everything, and obviously we've got the big backer behind us and all that for it. So it's going to be a pretty interesting show because it is the biggest one in North Carolina, and it's going to be my first time actually sitting at the show. And I'm really interested to see how it goes because they are admitting everyone that's 18 and under for free.
What?
So they don't have to, if they're 18 or under, they don't have to pay to get into the show.
What's the point of that? A, you probably get more people coming in that way. But B, I don't know. You got little kids running around grabbing comic books, knocking stuff over. I don't know.
Well,
that makes me nervous.
Hopefully their parents are gonna hold them back from knocking stuff over. But yeah, it's that's always a worry. But like I said, my plan for how I plan to set up the table and everything actually sounds pretty legit in terms of the amount of spacing and everything. Because I'm actually gonna bring some of every comic I've written at this point. So I'm gonna have some Immortal there. I'm gonna have some Junior High Horrors. I'm gonna have some Dead Sonja with me. So I mean, I'm gonna have a nice plethora of books. And in fact, while I was making all of this, I created a scrapbook of
Damn.
of every comic that I have actually done so far. So
Wow.
yeah, I decided that dumbass me though. I went out and I bought like a binder that's 1 inch thick, and obviously that's probably like 6 comics. That's probably not very much. So now I'm gonna have to go out and buy one of those really thick binders and
You
change
started out cheap, is what you did.
yeah, because I picked it up and I was like this is something where I can create like a I can create like a little thing to set up like right in the middle of the table so that someone who doesn't want to look at everything that's on the table can sit there and just flip through it and go, I want this,
Mhm.
and then I went, no, I don't even know if I'm going to use it for that. I think I'm going to use it just for me. I'll just keep 1 copy of every book I've done in there, and all of a sudden it became this thick.
Yeah.
And it needs a binder that's this thick. It needs one of those really heavy duty binders, like military grade binders. And unfortunately, I bought it at, I think, Dollar Tree. So
Cheap bastard.
well, no, it was a last minute thing. That's
No.
why it was what it was. Like I could probably actually try to find the right size sheet protectors and everything to hold the books too, but right now it's just regular sheet protectors. So my sister and brother-in-law, who've been gone for 2 weeks celebrating their 20th wedding anniversary in Europe, finally got back today, and they brought me a nice bottle of Game of Thrones White Walker Johnny Walker blended Scotch whiskey.
I'll be going next week.
I hope not. it's so I'm pretty excited about that. So one of my favorite whiskeys to drink now is the Wild Turkey. They call it American Honey.
Mm.
Where it's got honey blended into it and everything, so it's really smooth. I mean, you put it on a couple ice cubes and you can just sit there and drink it straight. You don't need any kind of chaser or anything like that. It's just really sweet too. Well, I bought what's that?
That's anything.
Oh, so I bought a bottle of it, and it came with a little shooter bottle of something else with it. And I was like, well, all right. I was gonna pick that up anyway, so I pick up the American Honey, bring it up to the counter or whatever, and I'm looking at it, and the little shooter bottle that it comes with, so the little airplane bottle of it is the same stuff with ghost pepper.
No.
So the next time you and I do a show live and in person,
No, sir.
we're gonna do it up.
You're gonna do it by yourself. I'm gonna do ghost peppers.
Oh,
No.
come on. It's not a Carolina Reaper. It's just the ghost pepper. We can do it. We can do this, Tino. You and me.
Okay, here's the thing. You know me. I don't do spicy stuff. Now, I can do spicy stuff. I choose not to do spicy stuff because A, I already have acid reflux. B, I know if it burns going in, it's going to burn coming out. And I don't want to be setting toilet paper on fire. I'm not drinking anything with ghost pepper.
Well, here, I got my Tums. I got my Tums.
Oh my God.
And I've got some Pepsid downstairs. So I mean, we're good, man.
You were trying to kill me.
No, I just need someone to do it with me because I'm a scaredy cat about it.
Scaredy cat. Make Shane do it with you.
Well, that's what I said first. I was trying to get my brother-in-law to do it, and he's like, no.
Make Shorty do it with you.
But it's you. It's our show. I think that would be a really great episode. It'd probably be our best episode ever. Our friend Ryan Artist would love that episode.
I'm not touching that one.
Oh, you're gonna do it. You and I'll do it. We'll pinky swear and everything. And
Make Fubar do it.
What's that?
Make Fubar do it. He'll do it.
But this isn't the Robin Fubar show.
Okay.
This is the Potsy and Tino show. This is
All right. Next time we do a live, I don't know when that's going to be.
we got SummerSlam coming up or something.
We'll do it. All right. Damn Ghost Pepper. Take the day after work next day.
We'll still be crying talking the episode.
Call in drunk. I can't get me. I drink Ghost Pepper.
We won't be drunk. There's one shot in the thing.
Oh.
So I mean, we only have to do like this much each. You know,
I'll call in crying. My butthole hurts. It's burning.
It's still burning.
I can't sit down. Oh Jesus!
You'll be doing videos like this. You'll be like, it hurts.
We'll be sponsored by damn milk because we're trying to cool our mouths. Each have a gallon of milk.
So everyone here probably just saw me get up and like get in the webcamera's face and everything. But why did I do that? Tino, you were talking about it before we got on the air.
Just being a smart ass.
But why?
So I was praying it would happen before we went live. So like I said, Nicole's grandmother is here visiting from out of town. She's from New York. She's lives in Long Island, but she's originally from Germany. So Robert just asked me, he said, "Did you see that shit show that was a Super Showdown?" And before I can answer, I heard it before you did because she started off in Haley's room coughing. I knew she was going to get water. But she never went in the kitchen about the time Rob asked me, "Did you see that show?" And then she's like, Rob does it better.
Well, here's the funny thing. I'm sitting there turned like this when I asked the question. I'm like, "Did you see that shit show that was Goldberg versus The Undertaker?" And all of a sudden, like while I got my head turned like this, all I hear is and I'm thinking Tino's laughing.
No. No. It was Nicole's grandmother. And she's right there, and I'm talking to her. I'm like, "You want some water, Oma?" And I made sure she took a glass of water with her, so in case she started again, she wouldn't come out while we were recording.
Right, because otherwise, Tino was saying that she was going to be like, "What's a podcast? What's going on here, Tino? What is this?"
Oh, God.
What are you gonna?
Oh my God. So
you can tell we're old, we're tired, and
punchy.
Haven't even started talking wrestling yet.
So let's bust out some wrestling. What you want to talk about first?
Well, we haven't talked since the interview heard around the world. We'll go ahead. We'll give a shout out to the Chris Jericho Talking Jericho podcast. He had John Moxley on just recently. He also had Dustin Rhodes on. I did not listen to the Dustin Rhodes one yet, so we could probably keep that conversation for a new episode later. Yeah. But the John Moxley episode, the Emancipation of John Moxley episode happened. And before we really go into what he said during the episode, it seems like, first of all, the thing I noticed about it, Tino, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you said you listened to it as well, right?
Yes.
So it was like the first time that Chris Jericho kept his mouth shut for most of an episode.
Oh, dude, he sat back. I think he very much said that it's going to be John. He's going to give Moxley a chance to tell his story. So he kind of laid back. They were in Moxley's house apparently, and during the whole interview, because at one point you did hear Jericho say, "Hey, Renee," in the which I'm surprised she didn't join in, but.
I am not surprised she didn't join it.
Take that back. You're correct. Because WWE. I wonder if she's gonna get in trouble for being there. He's like, "Hey, Renee," and she's looking at him like, "Oh."
Yeah, I don't. Right now, I don't think she is gonna get in any trouble for anything. I think that the first thing Moxley did, and for those who don't know, John Moxley was formerly Dean Ambrose. I think everybody should know that at this point. The kayfabe side and everything, all of that, all that consideration and everything. We know that you know, obviously WWE owns the name Dean Ambrose, so this guy who was known as Dean Ambrose is now going back to his original CZW days name of Jon Moxley, and as he signed, as he finished his contract with WWE, saying he wasn't going to sign a new contract, WWE took liberty to, for the first time ever, basically do the right thing and say, we wish him best. We wish him well going forward. But it turns out that John, I forget what his last name is in real life, but let's just say Jon Moxley.
That was good.
Oh, John Good.
Yeah.
John Good has decided he's not going to re-sign his contract. So everyone else, if that type of thing happens, they just kind of push it under the rug and let him go, and they have their 90-day clause or whatever, so they can't wrestle or whatever. Well, when they work out to the last day of their contract, they don't have a 90-day no compete clause anymore. They're all that's over. If they get released, they have a 90-day no compete clause. So he went into talking about how he was very grateful for everything that WWE gave him, the money, the fame, the fortune, his wife, his truck, and his mom and his house paid off, I believe is what he said. So he said he was in a spot now where he was ready to bury them for an hour and a half after that. And
he did,
and proceeded to do so. And I still don't think that he said anything that was like really damning.
He's just telling the truth, pretty much. I mean, it's not like, you're right. He wasn't bashing them. He was just telling things as he saw it from how he saw it. He just pretty much, I think he just had a problem with all the, as he called it, hokey shit that they had him doing. And when he broke it down and how many times he had to go to Vince and say, dude, this isn't cool. No, Vince, I don't want to do this. And, I guess he used to hold the Jericho line that Vince Jedi mind tricked him. He said, because you'll go in there mad and like, no, I don't want to do this. And Vince has to go, oh, all right, pal. And by the time you're like, yeah, it's the best idea ever. And you get out the door, you're like, what the hell just happened?
How did I get talked into that? Yeah. Why am I in a bra and panties match? I'm a grown ass man.
Yeah.
But but it was interesting because all of the fears that all of us have as fans with the WWE product, specifically when we're talking about Raw and SmackDown, seem to be acknowledged, and not just acknowledged, but also really pushed to the forefront here. It's weird because a brand new interview with Moxley came out, and someone asked him how he felt about Triple H buying up the indies, if you will, and he actually said that it's not really good for the industry, and he gave the example of, if I was a 21-year-old guy who got brought in as Jon Moxley to the WWE and locked into a long deal, I never would have been Dean Ambrose. I never would have been successful. I never would have had the creative freedom to get on the radar when I'm 25, 26 years old, so that way I can actually be something by the time I'm 33 years old in the WWE. And we've heard that from Cody as well, where Cody's basically sitting there saying, I was part of the machine. I was part of all of that. And I asked for my freedom because I wanted to explore other avenues to see whether or not I actually had what it would take to be a main event star. And because of that, you see what he did. You see Juice Robinson, Jon Moxley's opponent at the second most recent New Japan show, where Jon Moxley became the new United States champion for New Japan this past Friday. You see how he was CJ Parker in the WWE, and the most notoriety he ever got was the fact that he broke Kevin Owens' nose. And shortly after that, he actually asked for his release because he realized he was basically the next Brooklyn Brawler if he just stayed there, and he knew he was better than that. So he really did apply himself, and since then has actually made his way up to the United States Championship level of New Japan, which great on him. I mean, I got to see him at the New Japan show. You got to see him at the New Japan show, Tino. I mean, Juice really knows how to work a crowd now, which is something that obviously I think he took what he learned from the WWE, but he also took, you know, what he learned by working with some of the best workers in the world to make that into something. Now, at some point, he very well could be, you know, on the radar for AEW, could be on the radar for WWE again, and actually see himself rise to a much higher position than he was when he first left. I mean, look at Cody. When Cody left the WWE, Cody was looked at as Stardust and not going anywhere. Relegated to tag teams, and you know, the closest he ever got to winning the world title in WWE was the fact that he was the second to last guy to touch the belt in a Money in the Bank ladder match that was won by Damien Sandow, and then Damien Sandow was the first guy to lose the Money in the Bank match. You know, like it just goes to show you exactly where they really thought these guys were at that point. But the Moxley interview, like I said, it to me, Tino, it really was assuring us that everything we think that's wrong with the WWE really is everything that's wrong with the WWE right now.
And not only do we see it, the people on the inside are also starting to see it, because he even made comments about how, yeah, they have writers and they have script writers, and how they would hand him a script and he would look at the guy, hand him a script, like, do you believe this? He goes, and the guy pretty much like, yeah, it's crap. You know, they agreed it was crap, but it was something that Vince wanted, and Vince is, at the end of the day, is still the one writing that horse mess. You know what I mean? He still thinks it's funny, and he's still in the mindset back in the 80s and 90s that this worked back then, so it still should work.
Well, it's even worse than that now, because it really does seem like he is catering to an audience of one. He's catering to himself. What makes Vince laugh? You know, Moxley talked about the suffer and succotash line that Roman Reigns had to say, and Ambrose at that time actually asked Roman if he was going to say it, and Roman's like, I don't have a choice, and he's like, oh, you have a choice, and he's like, well, what should I do? Well, you should go back in there and tell him you're not going to say it. When he went back in there to say he's not going to say it, of course, he got Jedi mind tricked, as you said, and told, oh, the crowd will eat it up. They'll love it. And of course, Roman goes out there and does it. And what happens? Roman gets booed out of the building once again. And we see where that's going at this point. It's weird because, you know, we're 2 weeks removed from Double or Nothing at this point, 2 Saturdays ago. And so that means we've had 2 Monday Night Raws, we've had 2 SmackDowns, and of course we had NXT and an NXT pay-per-view. Yeah. And you know, the 25th takeover,
which was awesome.
Well, yes, yeah, and that's what I was getting to here, is that you could see that Vince is still marching to his own drum. He's not letting people out of their contracts. He's not letting people like have say in their character development or anything like that. He's doing it the same way that he's always done it, letting the writers write the scripts and everything else. And then and we all thought that after AEW's first pay-per-view, Vince would sit there and have to make a change. And he did. He made a very, very big change 2 weeks ago, Tino. He added the 24/7 championship.
I don't know what to say about that. I don't know. When Mick Foley came out with that belt, I was curious of what it was going to be. And when he unveiled that belt and everybody in that arena booed him, I knew we were in trouble.
It takes a lot for Mick Foley.
And Mick Foley couldn't save it. He tried his best. He tried to hype it before he pulled it. I think Foley knew that it was crap. But I mean, like I said, what are you going to do? He did a job. He got paid for it. He did it.
Well, exactly. And he's a WWE guy, although it's interesting because I wouldn't be surprised if he sat there and, you know, if he showed up on AEW at some point saying that the industry needs to change and blah, 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 blah. But, you know,
but again, having said that, though, Cody and the Young Bucks, they've all been very verbal in saying they don't want WWE cast off. So do you really think, you know what I mean? They've already had Bret Hart in there. You really think they'd welcome a Mick Foley in there? They don't want to be WWE, because TNA made that mistake years ago.
Except Mick Foley would have a lot to offer. Mick Foley would be a guy that could actually sit and be Jim Ross's commentary partner. You know, Mick Foley is a creative guy. He'd be able to help with promos backstage. You know, not necessarily writing the promos, but maybe helping someone with the delivery of said promo. You know, like I totally see him in the capacity of someone like Billy Gunn backstage for them, you know. And by the way, Dean Ambrose, or not Dean Ambrose, but Dean Malenko was also backstage at All or Nothing, or Double or Nothing, and was one of the producers back there. So just a week after he lost his job from the WWE, he was backstage for them. And there was also someone else that was backstage at the Double or Nothing pay-per-view. Now this was in a newscasting role, but one World's Strongest Man, Mark Henry, who is still under contract with the WWE as a road agent, was also there and was asking questions. And I think Tony Khan made sure to mention him by name so that even though he wasn't on camera, people knew that voice really did belong to the same guy that we thought it belonged to, which was Mark Henry.
So you think there'll be problems for him now?
You never know, man. Like I think that
they really don't want to piss him off. They fire him and he goes to AEW. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I see. So let's get back to that. Let's get back to the idea of whether or not WWE guys would be welcome, or WWE girls would be welcome in AEW. And this is what I think we have to take into account. Are they good locker room voices? You know, like everyone says that Randy Orton is Cody Rhodes' friend backstage. Well, if Randy Orton's Cody Rhodes' friend backstage, do we have to worry about Randy Orton leaving the WWE after being with them since 2004? I don't think so. I think that Randy Orton will schmooze that to get himself into a role where he's getting a 7-figure downside guarantee, similar to the Hulk Hogan days of the NWO, and just continue to coast, because while he shows up and does his job, doesn't hurt anybody, doesn't get hurt all that often anymore, you do notice that his work seems to jump up when he's with a guy that he really respects and wants to jump up on. You know, that's why his match with AJ Styles at WrestleMania actually ended up being better than what anybody was really anticipating it to be. But you know, they talk about how they really only want like 10% of the guys from the WWE. Well,
I think one of the guys they need to get is a guy that nobody would ever think that I would say. I think they need the creative mind and the creative genius of one Paul Heyman. I think would do them wonders at AEW.
You know that they would take Paul Heyman. They would take him in a heartbeat. But you know, Brock Lesnar feeds the Jew. That's just it. Like while they want Paul Heyman, could they afford Paul Heyman for the role that they want him for? Like, Paul Heyman just collects a check just showing up with Brock Lesnar. I mean, Brock Lesnar's probably getting $7 million downside guarantee, and Paul Heyman's probably getting $1 million at this point, just because it's like, we're not letting Heyman go either, because you know, he when he shows up backstage and he helps Ronda Rousey out get her promos over, then you know, we know that when he's backstage, he's going to help people. You know, like personally, I think they ought to go back to actually trying to put him with Cesaro, because right now Cesaro looks like he's lost, and it's sad too, because I noticed it the other day. The last match of Monday Night Raw was Cesaro versus Ricochet, and I'm like, holy shit, Ricochet is in the main event, but the match doesn't mean anything.
Yep.
It meant nothing.
Yep.
It was like, why is this even a match?
To push him.
But you know, it was awesome seeing those two guys in the main event on Monday Night Raw. So we talked about Moxley. We talked about him on the Talk is Jericho podcast. Did you have anything you wanted to add about that or finish up on?
No, I just thought it was an excellent interview, and if you guys get a chance to check that out, I highly recommend it. It's an awesome little hour and a half, hour 45-minute. Take time to listen to it.
And it literally is like one of the most downloaded episodes of any of those podcasts of all time, and it's only been out for 2 weeks. It was reminiscent of the Cult of Personality podcast with Colt Cabana with CM Punk after he left the WWE and finally decided to just let it all out, which, of course, led to him getting sued, led to Colt Cabana getting sued, led to their friendship ending, all that craziness. I don't think that's going to be the case with Jericho and Moxley, but you never know. Again, Moxley actually won the United States Championship from New Japan, so not only is he working for AEW, but at least until his AEW contract starts in terms of wrestling matches, he is also going to be wrestling for New Japan, and actually has already defended the title once at Dominion earlier today.
And speaking of CM Punk, guess who's rumored to be at the next AEW pay-per-view, which happens to be in Chi-Town.
Yeah, it's the same old song and dance, Tino.
You don't think he'll be there?
Right now, it looks like CM Punk needs AEW more than AEW needs CM Punk. And I think we saw that with the All In pay-per-view last year, where they rumored him. He also did a signing, but never actually showed up on their broadcast. His Pro Wrestling Tees signing that weekend went for 2 hours and wrapped around 2 blocks. But it is what it is. I think that at this point it's kind of moot. I don't think AEW necessarily needs him unless they want shock value and want another main eventer. But you know what happens when you have too many main eventers?
Yep.
Someone falls to mid card. You just you keep stealing the show, but there's only so many places at top, and it'll be interesting to see how that gets handled there. So what about this Bully Ray taking somebody backstage and yelling at them for a good little while? Have you heard this story?
I hadn't heard it. What you got?
So at a recent Ring of Honor show, do you know who the Allure is?
I've heard of him.
Okay, so Mandy Leon.
I have been watching Ring of Honor. Hadn't had time, but I need to play catch up. But yeah, go ahead.
Right. So Mandy Leon, young lady that actually has done a spot for us for our show.
Yes.
As well as Angelina Love and Velvet Sky are now a group called the Allure. And apparently all weekend, this fan, and I say that with air quotes, this fan showed up at Ring of Honor shows and kept yelling at them, talking stuff that you wouldn't necessarily say to a woman, right? So head of security for them, for Ring of Honor, comes up and basically tells the guy that someone wants to talk to him in the back. So they basically take the guy into the back, and guess who's waiting for him?
Velvet Sky's boyfriend.
Mr. Velvet Sky himself, Bully Ray, and basically sits there and says, I heard you were talking shit to the girls. Here's the deal. These girls work hard. They're trying to entertain you. How about you go out there and just be a fan? And then pats the guy on the back and sits there and sends him on his way. And of course the guy's like, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Turns out that this guy apparently has been to multiple shows saying a lot of stuff to the women performers and spitting on them and doing all this other stuff. So Ring of Honor, based on hearing that a fan was saying that Bully Ray had basically verbally abused him and all this other stuff, was looking into it. And it so far looks like nothing has happened to Bully Ray because after their internal findings found that this guy was not really a fan, but more like a obsessive fan, that Bully was not in the wrong. And, it didn't come to any violence or anything like that backstage. So it doesn't look like Bully will have anything done to him. But I got to tell you, I'm pretty impressed that Bully was able to keep his composure rather than just flattening the dude based on the fact that, you know, his girlfriend was the one that was getting berated by him.
And that's why I thought you were going to, when as soon as you said Bully Ray was waiting for him, like, oh, this isn't going to end well for old boy.
Yeah, so that's another one of those great wrestling stories that's going on right now.
Wow.
So Tino, we've already been talking almost 45 minutes at this point. Why don't we get to a stupid showdown?
Yeah, let's go ahead and knock that out before we call it a night. I think I was telling you off air. I haven't finished watching it. I'm working on it now. I'm getting ready. I'm at the point of the Lashley Strowman match is getting ready to start. So Strowman just made his way to the ring. So, and then I paused it when you called. So I'm gonna probably finish it up when we get off here. I saw the thing we talked about. I saw the Seth match. I said I was surprised that they had that one early on. So I saw Seth. I saw the Orton match. Saw another match. Oh, the Roman Reigns and Shane McMahon match, which surprised me again. I wasn't expecting Shane to go over in that match because, and again, it goes back to, and we joke about it, my 5-year-old mentality when I was a kid. So the last thing you saw on SmackDown, Shane was standing over Roman Reigns, which means at the pay-per-view, Roman Reigns is going to win the pay-per-view. And that blew my mind. Or this isn't really a pay-per-view, but Roman Reigns is going to win. You know what I mean? Roman Reigns was supposed to win this thing.
Well, you have to have the network, so I guess it is pay-per-view unless you're just signing up for the network to get it for free, although I don't know why you'd do that for this show. So so also on the card, obviously, the Lashley Braun Strowman match. I believe Braun Strowman won that match. Braun Strowman, man, he looks like he's lost like 40 pounds, and suddenly he's like a chiseled rock of just like 6'8", like monster.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But on top of that, I also want to say that then you also had the not the greatest Royal Rumble this time, just the world's largest battle royal. They decided all 50 men would be in the ring at the same time. Turns out, Tino, there was 51 men in the ring.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so not only was it touted as the biggest, but it actually became even bigger than the biggest because there was 51 men actually in the match at one time. And then of course you had Oldberg versus the Undertaker.
I forgot one match, and it's probably why I forgot it because I blew it because I can't stand this guy right now.
Dolph Ziggler?
No, that match hadn't happened yet either, or I might have slept through this thing. No, the Lucha House Party and Lars Sullivan. I'm just gonna leave that out there.
It's funny. I really hope that Vince realizes that what he's done with Lars Sullivan is the same thing he did with Ryback. I tend to think that's kind of where we're going with that.
They really don't know who's going to stop him, and I got a sinking suspicion it's going to be either Roman or Strowman are going to be the ones to be able to put a stop Lars Sullivan.
I mean, if we got what we wanted, it would probably be Tino yelling, "Where the F did Joe come from?"
Yes.
And Joe putting him in the coquina clutch and actually just taking him out and him going back to NXT.
Or just going away.
Yeah, exactly. Just going away. So the show opened with Seth. Seth ends up beating Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin comes back in, gives him the end of days. And then Brock comes down to cash in. Paul Heyman apparently screws it up, quote unquote, and Brock does not cash in. So we still have Seth Rollins as the Universal Champion. We've got Brock Lesnar as the Mr. Money in the Bank, or Beast in the Bank, as Paul Heyman likes to call him. After that, you talked about the Triple H versus Randy Orton match. I will point out that Jeddah, Saudi Arabia was 101 degrees, and they were outside for this event. There was no water being given to the wrestlers. I am surprised more people did not collapse when they went backstage.
Triple H has water because he's able to do a spit take stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so that's one guy that had one bottle of water. Come on now. Like, it's not like everybody else wants his bottle of water after he spits it all out. Uh, but you were saying that you were actually surprised that they put Orton over Clean.
Yes. Yes, I was surprised. I figured, it's Triple H, Eagle Maniacal Triple H. I figured, there's no way they were going to let. And the Saudi Arabia thing's a big deal for them, so I'm assuming that he was going to go over Randy Orton. I was surprised, and I was very pleasantly surprised to see Randy go over and it was a good match.
It was a solid match. It was slower than it needed to be. It was slow because well, I think that they were trying to save and conserve energy. I think that obviously Triple H has lost a step when he's in the ring.
You got the cerebral assassin against the Viper. I think that was the whole methodical. I thought that was a whole methodical story that they were trying to tell.
Well, so here's what I found funny about the match, and this is what I said on social media. I said the funniest part about this match was that it seemed like it was like it seemed like it was wrestling video game commentary happening, because Renee Young would say something like it's so great seeing Randy Orton as a 13-time world champion not getting the recognition he deserves. Then Michael Cole would sit there and turn around and say it's really great seeing Randy Orton as a 13-time world champion that's not getting the recognition he deserves. And then my favorite line of the entire match was when Corey Graves sits there and he goes, you guys gotta give me a break here. I've called like 360 hours of wrestling this week.
Corey Graves is awesome.
Sometimes he is. It was really funny though, because it was like, I have to say that I don't think Vince was sitting at Gorilla during this event, because I don't think he would have gotten away with saying that. Like he just kind of let a couple of them slip in there, like Corey Graves is starting to show his frustration, just like some other people.
I think Corey Graves is trying to go to AEW.
But let me go ahead and some things that irritated me about this pay-per-view. I did think that Dolph gave a pretty good match against Kofi Kingston. You said that you haven't seen it yet, so I'm not gonna ruin it. However, they did announce already a rematch for that at the Stomping Grounds pay-per-view in a steel cage. So Kevin Owens will not be in that match unless he somehow gets himself into it at SmackDown when they get back to the United States. Obviously, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn were not at the event because Sami Zayn is Syrian, and Kevin Owens, being his best friend at this point, probably just said, I don't feel like flying over to Saudi Arabia for this because my best friend's Syrian. Maybe other reasons, I don't know. But Kevin Owens did not make the trip. Daniel Bryan did not make the trip. Eric Rowan was in the 50-man battle royal. The 50-man battle royal was won by a Saudi Arabian team.
Mansoor.
Who?
Mansoor, I think that's what his name. Mansoor or something.
Sure.
Okay.
We ever going to hear of him again?
Probably not. I think he's one of the 205 Live guys.
I was kind of expecting Ali to win.
Me too.
And then they gave it to the Saudi Arabian guy, which I guess is okay. It really was one of those. It really was like a glorified house show. If there was a glorified house show coming to the North Carolina area, then Matt Hardy probably would have won the battle royal. So. Or Strowman, sure. Strowman would have that would have been a good choice. Although he did win the greatest greatest Royal Rumble last year. But now let's talk about it. Let's talk about that main event. You said you haven't seen it yet.
I'm gonna let you go for it. I've read about it. I've heard about it. So
it was like a fart in church, man.
Oh no, that good, huh?
So here's the thing. Match started fine. Goldberg speared him right at the beginning, and everybody thought, oh man, Goldberg's going to pin the Undertaker the way that he did Brock Lesnar, and the Undertaker kicks out, and you're like, okay, that's kind of what we hoped for. We want to see this go longer than 15 seconds, but okay, what do we got? And Goldberg goes to spear him again and hits his head on a ring post. And I mean, busted himself wide open. Now I'm going to point out that Matt Riddle, by the way, NXT's Matt Riddle, the King of Bros,
bro,
The original bro.
Bro.
The original bro has been all over social media trying to say that he's going to end Brock Lesnar's career. He's going to defeat him, and said that they would not let him backstage at Monday Night Raw because they were afraid that he would actually go and beat up Brock Lesnar.
He's been smoking this stuff, bro.
Yeah, like and of course the joke there is that, you know, if they know that you are trying to get fired, they're not going to fine you or suspend you for smoking dope, apparently. So but anyways, Matt Riddle also went to Twitter and said, Goldberg, why don't you prove to me that you can wrestle? So Goldberg's in this match. Goldberg hits his head so hard, Tino, that he knocked himself silly. I don't know if he officially knocked himself out, but he was done. Like this is what it reminded me of. Remember when the Undertaker knocked himself out during the Brock Lesnar Undertaker match at WrestleMania?
His eyes were glassed over and it's kind of rolling back in his head.
Yeah, that's what it was. The match kept going. The Undertaker picked him up, gave him a tombstone. It actually looked like he hit Goldberg on the top of his head. Goldberg went for a jackhammer, actually dropped the Undertaker on his head. And literally the last three moves of the match, the jackhammer followed by a spot where they were supposed to do the flipping tombstone,
Mm-hmm.
you know, where the one guy gets the other guy ready for it and it falls over. The Undertaker fell and was not able to hold up Goldberg's weight for the tombstone. So when they finally picked him back up, threw him into the ropes, the Undertaker slapped him with the choke slam, slammed him down, and then proceeded to give this look when he won the match.
What's that look, Rob? Like, what the fuck?
Nope. Tino just dropped our one F-bomb.
Right.
But you see how disappointed he is himself? That's the look right there, Tino. That disappointed in himself look. It was like,
You think it was him, or you think it was Goldberg's fault?
So how the match ended was totally Goldberg's fault. However, on our wrestling group, our friend Jack Rook actually posted that some guy actually posted on like Instagram, and I'm paraphrasing here. I'm definitely not quoting. Said something along the lines of, "Geez, WWE, why can't you just let the Undertaker go away in peace and go live out on his farm with his wife Michelle McCool?" And you know who liked the Instagram post?
Undertaker.
The Undertaker. And it's sad too, because, you know, Goldberg ended up posting saying, "Hey, I really want to apologize to my fans because that wasn't the match I wanted to give you. I apparently knocked myself out, blah, blah, blah." And then, of course, Matt Riddle sits there and says, "Goldberg, you suck. You're the worst wrestler ever." And then he proceeded to write back on top of that, Undertaker is a shrine. He's basically like, you know, a god in this, and you totally ruined that.
Oh, God.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, God.
Like I watched that match, and I'll actually say, like, up until Goldberg looked like he knocked himself out, the match was fine. You know, Undertaker did snake eyes to him. Undertaker did a couple other moves. You know, like it was fine for what it was. It was two 50-plus-year-old men trying to do what they did 20 years ago, and they just weren't going to do it the way that they did it 20 years ago. You know, and it was disappointing because of that, but it was really disappointing because of the last 2 minutes of the match where I mean, it literally fell apart, and it was not fun to watch.
Well, I get to watch it.
I hope I dropped your expectations from like here to like,
Yeah,
I can't even reach that far down.
thanks a lot, Rob.
Oh, you're good. Well, see, now it may exceed those expectations. So
Okay.
you might look at it and go, it wasn't that bad. But they gave them their entrances and everything else, and that's all fine and dandy. But yeah, it's kind of like watching a Scott Steiner match now.
Ooh. Boo.
On a good note though, I decided to watch some stuff on the WWE Network this week.
What'd you watch?
Well, I definitely watched the Takeover 25, which was phenomenal. Johnny Gargano and Adam Cole seem to raise the bar in terms of what a 5-star match is in the WWE.
Yes, agreed.
I watched some the story time episode,
Which
and
one?
I left it on. I was writing the latest issue of Junior High Horrors, and I just had it going on in the background, so I just heard all the stories. I wasn't watching the cartoon part, and I saw the very first episode, which was the one with Nature Boy sitting there talking about how he was on the plane, and all the stewardess and flight attendants asked him to take off his clothes so he put on his robe, and I'm thinking to myself, in today's WWE, would they even be allowed to have him tell this story anymore?
Probably not.
Exactly. It seemed pretty obtrusive, I guess. So I watched that, and then I watched something that I didn't know was even on there. It was like a documentary on the most famous lost audition tape for WWE of all time. And it was a guy that wrestled against Bret Hart, and they did commentary and everything for it, and nobody knew like if this tape really existed, because it was all back from the tape trading days. And I forget what his name is, but it's a really cool story about how like everybody would trade this tape because they wanted to see this match, because this guy was being looked at as like the next Hulk Hogan. And he had a great match with Bret Hart, had a great match with $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase. They were getting ready to push him to the moon,
Mm-hmm.
and then he just kind of fell off the map, fell off the radar, and disappeared for forever. And then just randomly, somebody at one of the old tape places ended up having a copy of the match and sent it in. So the WWE Network now has like the most famous lost match of all time on
that.
And it's with Bret Hart, and Bret Hart has this, like, Bret Hart's even telling the story where he's like, so we got into the match, and I basically said, give me 3 of your moves and I'll call the match, and as long as you execute those moves properly, you're going to be set up for big things. And then they talk to the guy about the match as well, and he's sitting there, he's like, yeah, Bret took care of me, blah blah blah. His name was Tommy something, I forget what it was, but it's just a crazy match, because it's not anything special, but it has commentary on it by Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby the Brain Heenan as well.
Awesome.
Like it was supposed to be like a WWE Superstars match or something, and Bret was told ahead of time it wasn't ever going to have commentary, but then they put the commentary track on it anyway. So it's like, but it's just really cool.
I went back and watched the Hall of Fame, this year's Hall of Fame, because I hadn't had a chance to watch it yet. And it was just a lot of the people telling stories was funny, but Bret Hart saying how he's a cowboy, Bret Hart. He came out as cowboy Bret Hart, and they were like, he knew they weren't going to use him anymore, so he had to change his gimmick. And then he had to walk to whoever was in charge, and he knocked on the door, and dude opened the door, he goes, I don't want to be a cowboy. It's just the whole way he told the story. Oh my God. It was just, Bret Hart was just funny because he did it with a straight face. He goes, I don't want to be a cowboy. So it was just classic. It was that whole,
which is hilarious, because obviously, that put Bret Hart in the Hall of Fame as a 2-time Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
And, like that's where his career started, was Vince McMahon wanted him to be Cowboy Bret Hart from Stampede Wrestling in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. It's like, do they even have cowboys up there? It's like,
yeah, I was going back because I wanted to watch the DX, which I should have known they're going to have them last. just to watch the whole, and because I heard bits and pieces. Everybody was saying how they were taking jabs, and you said too they're taking jabs to the AEW. So I wanted to go back and watch it and just listen to it, and yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it's funny because Triple H sits there and calls them like a rinky dink, whatever, and it's just, I don't know, it's kind of odd, because obviously Cody came out and smashed the chair that Triple H uses, and then obviously used the sledgehammer to do it, and blah blah blah. One last story I want to talk about, which has nothing to do with the network or anything. Has to do with the man Becky Lynch this week.
Oh God!
Did you hear she got in a little bit of hot water with
Edge.
with two Hall of Famers?
Yeah, I think I read that somewhere about what she called out Edge. What was that about? I didn't get to read the whole thing.
So apparently she said something about
Her daughter.
Edge getting a little confused when it comes to redheaded wrestlers, and then ended up mentioning Edge's daughter, and that apparently did not go over very well. And Edge basically said, going into business for yourself and not involving the other person isn't exactly a good way to do business. And he said basically, keep my daughter's name out of your mouth. And if you really want, I'm sure Beth wouldn't mind getting back in the ring with you.
Beth a killer.
So, well, yeah, except Edge wasn't talking as in, let's go ahead and set up a WrestleMania match for you and the Glamazon. Let's go ahead.
No.
Let's go ahead and have a parking lot brawl between you and my wife because you mentioned my kid, and I won't hit a woman, but she will.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, I find it interesting because we remember that Edge came out and actually had that talk with Becky Lynch before she won the championship. If you're injured, don't go out there, blah blah blah, do it. So he did his job, but then she's sitting there saying that she'll put the hurting on him and blah blah blah. But here's a guy that legitimately cannot get in a wrestling ring again.
Mm-hmm. She knows that.
And she knows that. So I'm very disappointed that she would ever try to to drudge up like cheap heat when obviously, like, when she's allowed to go to her own devices, she should know where you're allowed to go and where you can't, because obviously it's still a show, like the whole Ronda Rousey thing. You want to sit there and Ronda wants to say that it's fake, and then she wants to sit there and say, well, I'll put a hurting on you. That's fine. I think that's fair game. But when you know that someone legitimately can't get in the wrestling ring to defend themselves in terms of the honor there, you don't do that.
Yeah.
So,
but again, Beth will whoop that ass for him. So,
well, and I think that's a legitimate claim. I think that Beth has probably 6 or 7 inches in height and, probably about 30 pounds on her. So,
I bet you Beth still works out. So I bet you she's still the Glamazon. You know what I'm saying? She still got that strength.
Oh yeah, she had that match at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not like she's out of shape, and obviously she's down at the Performance Center a lot because she's now doing the commentary on NXT.
NXT.
So, and amazingly enough, Percy Watson just.
Yeah, it's like he just up and disappeared.
Rumor is that he quit. We'll find out. I don't know exactly.
Well, I wonder why he quit.
Nobody knows.
Hmm.
The rumor is that he did it so that he could pursue a career in acting, but I don't know what roles he's looking for. All right, Tino. It's 11:45 at night.
I gotta get to bed.
We've done enough. I will go ahead and point out that Microsoft did announce their next generation console right now is called Project Scarlet tonight at E3. So that's supposed to be out next holiday. So that'll be fun. Cool. And other than that, I think it's time for you to take us out.
You can find him on the Twitter at PotCheck. You can find me. You know, you're Rob Potcheck on Twitter, aren't you?
No, I'm Potsy.
Oh, at Potcheck. You can find me, HooeyFan91. You can check out the podcast, Potsy and Tino, on Facebook. We're the Potsy and Tino Show. Thank you, as always, to Adam's House Cat for the wrestling song. And as always, I'm tired. I can't think. And as always, we can hear Rick Flair.
Fading fast here. It's
yeah. As always, we can hear Ric Flair, and he's up there, and him and Charlotte having a conversation. And he's going, son of a bitch and bastard. I hate you. That is so. This is not the Emmys. You do not sound me off with music. Black folks, I'm about to cuss him out. He want to cut this off. I'm about to drop a lot of F-bombs. See you next week. You mother.
You've got to beat the man, and I am the man.